I mean, nothing
That's
can heal if we're not taking that time to tend to our garden, so to speak,
Yeah.
or as I teach in my trainings, the inner home for happiness. If we're not tending to, you know, our homes, period, you have your garden, and then you have to make sure the roof is fine, and then the pillars, your foundation is good, and the seat of the root and the seat of that home, the heart of the home. We
Mm,
have to tend to that, because if we don't, then we can't heal behind that.
yeah.
and I
That's
have a
great.
perfect example of that. Um, in getting ready for this mural that we're painting now, there was a lot of prep work, and it's been really stressful in my house. And I've been compartmentalizing everything so that I can function. Raise your hand if you've done that. Oh, so then
Guilty. Yeah.
the day comes and we get our panels delivered that we're painting this mural on, and I'm full of energy, I'm happy, I'm ready to go, and all of a sudden my back spasms hard,
Mm, yeah.
and I was down for 4 days. I couldn't walk. I had to get a
Oh,
little lady, old lady walker out to walk. And that little
oh.
yelp you hear is my dog Jack.
Jax.
And I realized that all of that emotion that I compartmentalized and shoved down, guess where it ended up? My
Oh,
back.
you're back.
And my
Mhm.
back finally said, enough,
Yeah.
enough. You're
Yeah.
going to take some time. So if we don't take care of those things, in it when it comes up and we shove it down, sometimes we have to. I mean, life is life, right?
Yeah.
But if you don't take time to deal with your inner world, your inner emotions, yourself, and take care of you, guess what? Your body's going to deal with you one way
Hmm.
Yeah.
or the other.
There's
It
a whole book
cost me.
or two about that.
Yeah, reminder.
Yeah.
It,
Yeah.
And speaking of that, I read two books in particular that made that make so much sense for me. One was more scientific, The Body Keeps the Score. That's like, get that
yep,
on your bookshelf
that's
if
an
you're
excellent
if you
book.
want to nerd out about psychology of it. But also, I follow a medical intuitive. Her name is Caroline Myss, Myss, and she brings the science and spirituality spaces together from different religions. And she had a really great example of basically the heart being the doorway between the two parts of your body, and that energetic alignment and what each segment of that means
Yeah.
externally in the world that you're experiencing. So to your point, Kay, I've had back problems for a long time. And when I started researching her work and looking more into yoga culture, I learned about the chakral system and how energy gets stuck in certain
Yeah.
spaces, and then it starts to deteriorate and break things down because
Yeah.
of the fear and emotions that are held hostage there. And so
Yeah.
she's always like, your heart, you have to come back to heart center. You have to come back and reprogram. So this changes and then that changes. And I was like, yeah, that's work to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
As a massage therapist for 20 years, I had a lot of clients on my table, and they would have emotional releases during a massage, because maybe that was the first time in months that they had allowed themselves to be taken care of.
Yeah.
And and there are certain areas of the body that I'd be working on, and like rubbing the feet. Rubbing the feet, it feels glorious to us, but there's also that sense, it's why Jesus washed the feet, right?
Yes.
There is something so sacred, for lack of a better term,
Yeah.
about having your feet rubbed, and
Yeah.
also doing it for someone else.
Yeah.
And a lot of people have a hard time, especially women, receiving that
Yes.
care.
I mean, yeah, I be shoving my feet in my husband's face all the time. or some really good shoes, like
Only
or
time
rub
I'm
your
getting the
own feet,
rug
own feet.
when I got
Like
my pedicure yesterday. So yeah,
even rubbing your own feet and doing that kind of gentle massage.
yeah, I had to do that. I mean, after surgery, because I keep the inflammation, try to get all that broken up. And so
Mhm.
for a while, I had to do that. And, someone I worked with as a gift was nice enough to even give me like one of those massagers. So to put, put
Yeah.
on and, kind of the things are
Yes.
like hands and it does that. And
Yeah.
it does feel good. So yeah, I agree with that 100%. Because physical touch just makes a difference, and
Yeah.
it's
Huge.
probably a different series to talk about.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
To case point, like the emotional
Yeah.
release, there is power in our hands, in our feet. Like we are receptors. I had
Yeah.
one time posted about this download that I got about our hair being antenna. Like we feel when things shift in the air, like women specifically, right? We feel when things shift in the air. We just have this intuitiveness, but we're so disconnected that that comes from here. And so
Mhm.
when we talk about like touching and doing those service type jobs, we're caring for people or even offering ourselves that care, that is us returning here at the end of the
Yeah.
day.
Yeah. It's all I mean, my first experience with understanding and learning about the science behind it and the emotional toll. So I was diagnosed many years ago with fibromyalgia. Couldn't figure out where all the pain was. Definitely, the more stressed I was, the more pain I would be in. And it still happens. But I didn't know until I started, working with the energy coach I worked with almost 3 years ago about those emotional blocks that you were talking about, Bahati, and how it affects different parts, and getting more of an understanding on how, each of our chakras actually are in tune with certain parts of our body, and how
Yeah.
that clearing of emotional blockage is all tied together. And that's what fascinated me, because I'm like, no wonder I'm walking around here hurting all the time. And this is hurting, and I don't know why. And you go to doctors and they can't figure out they have no idea what's
Yeah.
going on, which is like we were talking like offline about how the importance is for the connections where
Mhm.
people who are a different type of practitioner, say
Yeah.
like we are working with the medical professionals. And because I feel that when you have all these different things that are available to us at our disposal, that they all work together somehow. And I
Yeah.
mean, wouldn't we want to
We
have
should
more
and we
of
need
that?
to.
Yeah.
Yeah, we should and we need to, and it's so necessary now, especially with the data showing like 1 in 5 Americans are suffering from mental health, probably in silence at this point, because we just don't have enough people to help the people. We just don't. So it just makes sense. When I go back to like the science of spirituality, I think about the Western medical system is basically just describing what they understand about the Eastern science philosophies of what we're now returning to practice, which is heart intelligence and heart coherence and heart awakening and all that thing. It's just we're returning to a balance in two systems that were operating separate from each other.
Yeah.
When I was going through some testing about my heart, I remember one specific test. I think it was an EKG or electro something something. I don't know this fancy term, right?
They do
So I'm
do
sitting.
EKG for heart. So
Yeah. So
yeah.
I mean, I'm still learning all the terms, right? Because they're like, we're gonna do this and this and this and this, and I was like, great, we're gonna figure out what the hell's going on with my palpitations. I'm laying on the side and I'm watching this ultrasound, and I swear it looks like lightning bolts. My heart's pumping, and it's like bzz, pumping, it's like bzz, and I'm like, that's so cool. That's the spark of life. Like that moment right there is the moment of your existence. Like, how cool is that they created a machine to see the electrical circuitry of your heart, but they still don't know what the hell's going on. But they have this machine that can prove what what spirituality has been proving for millennia. Like, how cool is that? But yet, and still, they're not connected. So it's going to take
Yeah.
these kinds of conversations to get them to meet in the middle, because what we
Yeah.
do and what we talk about is pseudoscience. It's not like official, even though it's documented historically. But it's going to take more conversations like this and more advocating.
Thanks for tuning in to episode 2 of our Women's Health series on the Heart. This conversation continues next Sunday. And remember, whatever feels good to your soul, do that. Take care.